Good day, folks. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today we have with us Majid Kazmi. He came to Canada in 2012 and started off with an illustrious career in the professional space, and then afterwards decided to go on his own solo. So he'll talk more about that as well. So without having me introducing him any further, if Majid, if you can get started by telling us a little bit about yourself first.
Sure. Hi, Saad, and hello to your audience. First of all, I would like to commend you on this wonderful effort. Congratulations on creating this great platform and running it for a while now. Well, intro. I would describe myself as a result-oriented, but perhaps more importantly, as a purpose-oriented leader in a number of industries that I've been associated with in the past. Over the years, I gained my most of my experience in product management, part of which was product development and innovation, and the other part has been P&L management, as well as technology project management. I have a proven track record of delivering solutions to pretty complex problems, both in the retail banking side as well as corporate and wholesale banking. And I would say my areas of expertise primarily would include product strategy, which I would say it's a notch above the day-to-day product management and P&L management, as well as budgeting, forecasting, governance and control. And I've had exposure to things like agile methodology and design thinking over the years as well. In terms of my education, I did my MBA with majors in MIS, Management Information Systems, in Karachi. I did a short stint with a Singaporean company right out of the university, and that organization in 2001 was organizing the biggest IT exhibition and conference in Pakistan called ITCN Asia. So I was given the responsibility to head up the marketing, public relations, publications function for that event. That was back in 2001, so a long time ago, like two decades ago. Um, After that, so there was a short stint, 6 months project. After that, I switched to more something that related more to my educational background, which was technology. So I joined Central Depository Company in Karachi um, to look after project management within the IT department. Stayed there for around 4 years before moving to corporate banking full time with Pak Oman Investment Company. Again, there was a relatively short stint because I was soon offered a position at UBL, United Bank Limited, at their head office in Karachi to manage the retail mortgage book as the product manager for their mortgage products. And at that time, American Express was on its way out of Pakistan. That was part of their regional exit strategy. It was later acquired by JS Group. That was in 2007. So I was interviewed by the Amex, outgoing Amex management. Some of the people decided to stay on. But after that interview, I was offered the head of wealth management position, which was something completely new to me. I didn't know the first thing about wealth management. Nevertheless, I got that position, and after launching wealth management in the initial couple of years, I was promoted as the overall head of product development and management for the retail bank at JS Bank, a position that I held for 4 years, 4.5 years, before I migrated with my wife and daughter to Canada in November of 2012. That was. Um, and here I am. So initially, I had to go through the same struggle that pretty much everyone goes through as new immigrants. Because of lack of knowledge of anything better to do, I started applying online, and Saad, it took me almost 5 months to get my first interview call. Having been a senior executive at one of the fastest growing banks in Pakistan, having an MBA, a pretty good success track record, and it took me almost 5 months. And interestingly, it was through a 5 minute conversation with a potential employer at a networking event. At the end of that, he asked me for a copy of my resume. I had the last hard copy for the day. I handed him the copy of my resume. I got my interview call. First interview call after 5 months, uh, over a casual chat at an event. And then I had my formal interview the very next day, I believe. And 3 weeks later, landed my first job in Canada as senior product manager at CIBC. That was in June of 2013. And after that, so I switched a number of positions. I left CIBC last year as a senior consultant product strategy, again within the retail bank, looking after product strategy roadmaps for a number of products, both assets and liabilities side. And then I took a leap of faith. Recently, I started a company which is in the education consulting and employment services space with our head office in Toronto and regional offices in Middle East and in Pakistan as well. And that is in the education, consulting, and employment space, which means that we help potential international students pursue higher education in Canada, US, UK, and Australia. So we help them out with identifying programs. We apply to those universities on their behalf because we are authorized to represent those universities to our clients. And once they are in Canada and they have pursued a large chunk of their education, we have them find job in their fields. So that company is called uGen Group. That's what I'm doing right now.
Perfect. That was a very interesting segue that you made into your own business. In terms, and we were talking about this earlier. What are the other spaces that you are also involved with uGen in helping out organizations or individuals?
In my individual capacity, Saad, I've been pretty busy over the last 8, 9 years that I've been in Canada. And right off the bat, whatever I learned along the way, I decided to impart that knowledge to people, particularly new immigrants. So I started that process pretty much by the end of 2013. And I mean, it's been like I've been working with 15 to 20 organizations in the nonprofit space as a member of their advisory committees, as a board member, and so forth. So just to give you an example, I had a longest stint as a member of the board of directors with any nonprofit organization, and that was the City of Toronto's Workforce Planning Board. So the GTA, the structure is that within the government of Ontario, there's a mandate that around 24 organizations in the nonprofit sector have, and that mandate has been given by the Ontario government to do labor market research and produce recommendations for policymakers in the government. One of the organizations to do with the City of Toronto is called Toronto Workforce Planning Board. So I was on the board for 4 years, and that was very interesting job. And that is something that basically instigated my interest in helping immigrants and newcomers. So I decided to stay on the path. I then worked with many other nonprofit organizations like United Way. I was a member of their Speakers Bureau for 3 years. Participated in some amazing fundraising campaigns, raising north of $100 million in less than 3 months and so forth. Worked with Access Employment, many other organizations, University of Toronto, and so forth. And this was probably one of the major reasons I decided to stick on and decided to work in the same space, eventually launching my company, uGen, to work full time with potential immigrants, particularly international students. And as we speak, I'll tell you why I'm so passionate about the education segment more than the regular immigration pathway.
So if you could just expand on that.
There's a reason for that. Yeah, so there's a reason behind the madness. Over the years, what I've studied and the information that I've stumbled upon tells me that people who migrate to Canada in their, let's say, mid 30s to late 30s or even early 40s, they don't stand a very good chance of integrating in the society and culture, and especially the workplace, because, of course, they've been hardwired a certain way. They're coming from a different cultural and societal background. So going up the learning curve remains a challenge for them. Conversely, people who come in their, let's say, early 20s or mid 20s to pursue education, they are more predisposed in a positive way to integrate and assimilate from a cultural perspective. And Saad, you would probably understand, having been in Canada for a long time, what we call soft skills it's a pretty complex business. It's not just soft skills, it's way to get through to people, to communicate with people, to influence them, negotiate with them, which starts with basic communication etiquettes. And that is something that newcomers have to go through. Uh, so incidentally, because people who are students in Canada migrate at an early age, they get that leeway, they get the runway to go through that learning experience and end up better integrating in the economy. So if I and my company are somehow able to help them, they would end up becoming hiring managers and they would be more empathetic with newcomers. So imagine if somebody that I help in the next 10 years ends up becoming a senior vice president at a bank, obviously they would be more uh, inclined to help other immigrants, and hence I would end up contributing to increasing the diversity and inclusion in Toronto. Otherwise, there's a ton of excuse why a Canadian employer would not like to hire somebody who has moved to Canada in their early 40s, for example, because they find it difficult for to help those people integrate in the work culture. So just taking those excuses off the shelf, excuses out of the scene, is an easier integration pathway for immigrants. So I think all other organizations that are working in this space should focus on education, international education, because that is something that would eventually help Canada move the needle on diversity and inclusion. Otherwise, it would be just rhetoric and platitudes.
No, no, absolutely. Thank you so much for that very good insight. I think it warrants a longer conversation because you have a wealth of information with you and advice and guidance. But just given the constraints of our program, that we try to wind it up in a limited amount of time, I'll stop here with my questions. And thank you so much today, Majid, for taking your time out. And hopefully, folks watching this will be able to benefit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.